You're watching TVC Breakfast. Nigerian workers may have to wait longer for the new 30,000 naira minimum wage to be implemented.
Well, more than 3 months after President Buhari signed the new minimum wage into law, workers are still waiting for the implementation. Issues surrounding consequential adjustment of salaries arising from the new minimum wage have continued to be on the front burner. Federal government and labor representatives on the technical committee set up to negotiate this increase would resume negotiations this week. TVC News correspondent Sharon Ejason joins me now to talk about this issue. Hi, Sharon. So this committee meets, and where did they leave, the last discussion? What is going to be on the front burner this time around?
Well, what actually stalled the conversation during the last meeting was the fact that they were unable to agree on what the consequential adjustment figure will be. According to sources, the federal government had a fixed amount of money they wanted to increase for each cadre of workers, which is probably about 5%, and Labour wanted about 20 or 30% increase, and this is because workers who work with the government are yet to receive increase in the salary for about 7 years. So we have thousands of workers who are really expectant to actually receive increase in their salary, because we know that in the last couple of 7 years, the naira actually had devalued. We actually know that there's inflation out there. We've experienced inflation about 2-3 times. So of course, the average worker is actually receiving less valued. We actually know that there's inflation out there. We've experienced inflation about 2-3 times. So of course, the average worker is actually receiving less than what is actually on paper. You understand? So moving forward, fine. They said they are going to reconvene. We are actually hoping that they will be able to reach an agreement so that we don't have a possible strike action. Now, the issue moving forward again is even the 30,000 naira is yet to be implemented by the state. We don't have any state right now in Nigeria that is taking the lead, but I'm sure of some states in Nigeria that pays more than 18,000 naira.
Sharon, and again, the average worker, I'm wondering how the worker can, keep up with this committee and that committee and several other committees. After all, was it 2 weeks ago that Mr. Egbule now talked about those who earn below 30,000 naira will start getting the increments before the senior staff or those in higher ranks or higher levels, get theirs. How will all this be revealed or be considered at the resumption of talks this week?
Well, whether we like it or not, of course, they're looking at the actuality of even the implementation of the 30,000 naira minimum wage. You would realize that the former Nigerian Governors Forum, the committee, has actually said that state governments cannot actually afford 30,000 naira.
That still remains an issue.
But the truth remains that Labour and many meaningful Nigerians believe that if workers' welfare is prioritized, payment of 30,000 naira shouldn't be a big deal. But we have 36 states in Nigeria, and right now as we speak, no state has actually taken that huge step of saying, okay, I want to be the first state that will implement the new national minimum wage.
Is any state showing promises?
Well,
as at now,
we know that we have new governors and probably they're trying to still settle in. But the truth remains that we have so many states in Nigeria that don't even pay up to 18,000 naira as minimum wage. And that's a big issue. So if a state is paying 7,000 naira, 8,000 naira, which is like how many dollars right now, if you're not paying the past minimum wage, how would they actually pay 30,000 naira as the new minimum wage?
That's an issue, a legitimate issue. But then going back to the federal, those who are on the federal civil service now, how healthy is this seeming disparity between those who don't earn up to 30,000 naira ordinarily and those who are in, say, levels 7 and above? Is this a healthy thing? After all, the fight was for all civil servants.
Well, whether we like it or not, it's only natural that after the increase in minimum wage, that the consequential adjustment will actually reflect in the salary of other workers in the system. And remember these workers have not received an increment in the last 7 years, and it's actually due that they actually receive an increment. And we know that the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has actually raised a different circular threatening to actually go on strike. But I, as a worker, I hope that the federal government and relevant stakeholders will actually do the needful so we don't actually have to suffer for the lack of agreement between the tripartite committee.
Sharon Ejason, thank you so much for your time on TVC News.
TVC News correspondent Sharon Ejason joins me now to bring us up to speed with understanding this. Sharon, it's good to have you this morning. Now, the difference in what the amount in percentage increase should be for those who are earning between level 7 to 14, which the federal government said they can only pay 5%, pay 9.5%. Labor is saying 25%. Those from 14 to 17, federal government is saying I can only pay 5%. Labor is saying 30%. Where are we with all of this arguments back and forth in the area of negotiation?
Well, it's called negotiation, so they will definitely have to strike a balance and actually meet in the middle. But one thing that we have to actually realize here is the difference between 18,000 naira and 30,000 naira in terms of percentage is about 66.6%. Yes. Now, the difference in practical terms for a level 7 officer is 15,000 naira if labor is going to stand on 30% or 25%. But 5% means the federal government wants a level 7 officer to receive 5,000 naira as increase in their salary or in their wage. And we remember very clearly that it's about 8 years that the public servant on that grade level actually has received increase in salary.
So it was long overdue.
It's long overdue.
From the last agreement.
So 5,000 naira, of course, to an average worker is peanut. And looking at the fact that those that will actually eventually receive 30,000 naira as minimum wage, and even the level 7 officer actually, they go to the same market. They buy the same price, they pay the same amount for the goods and services. So they feel it's unfair for the government to recommend 5%. 30% to them is not practicable, but it's just trying to meet up in the middle to ensure that both the government and the employers are actually
on the same platform. All right, we have heard comments from people here and there, in fact from some labor leaders saying that the government is trying to do a divide and rule situation where those from level 1 to 7 satisfied, because actually in true terms they are like the foot soldiers of the organized labor. So when you pay them, agree to pay them 30,000 from the recent approval that they should be paid while the other negotiation goes on, they are saying that they will not accept that.
Well, whether we like it or not, it's only natural for consequential adjustment meetings and results of outcomes should actually take place. You can't say you want to satisfy the lower cadre of workers and the other ones that are professionals, co-workers won't actually receive increase. It's not possible. We have some that are actually going to retire in some few months, and what they actually take home right now is actually very important, because once they cross over to that retirement age, whatever they get is what they get. So whether we like it or not, we attend the same market, we pay for the same prices for goods and services.
The
same economy. And the market woman doesn't want to understand that maybe you didn't receive an increment. As far as the market woman or man is concerned, there's an increase in salary, there's a very possibility that inflation of prices will actually still go up, and you actually have to pay. So it's like giving you an amount of money and collecting it back
from the back door. But anyway, we'll wait to see what the outcome of the next meeting will be. Thank you very much, Sharon, for coming on the program.